because sitting there in the dark.
All right, we're going to talk about the stash tabs. I mean, dude, I've been ahead of this forever. We've all been ahead of this. If you played Diablo 3, you know why there's no stash tabs. Because the same thing happened in Diablo 3. It is so funny watching all these Diablo 4 players losing their minds about all this stuff that we've had to deal with for years. By the way, so many people don't realize that Diablo 3 ended up becoming like a really pretty good game. And I love Diablo 3. I play it all the time. But most of these people gave up on Diablo 3 in the first year. So they're like, Diablo 3 sucks. I'm like, yeah, it did suck when you quit it in 2012 and 2013. But guess what? In 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, it started getting really good. And now the game is really good. Well, guess what? Diablo 3 is all over Diablo 4 because it's the same problems all over again.
Not knowing what's going on, for instance, not having stash tabs and barely getting one, you might think to yourself, maybe they're planning to monetize these. Maybe they don't consider it pay to win. They said there's never any pay to win, but they didn't say pay the convenience or anything. Maybe they're planning to sell these. This is a common point I've seen. So when they come out and say things like, hey, it's a performance concern is really what's going on, we know, okay, so it's not necessarily that they're trying to scoop monetization in. They just have some bad code or something related to the stash tab. Then there's the gamer side of me. That's the second part. That's the consumer. I paid for the game, and it is not my concern as to whether or not it is a development issue. A development issue is the developers.
And why would it be why is it a development issue when it was a development issue with Diablo 3? So let's remember, in Diablo 3, for a long time, you couldn't get stash tabs. Then when they released expansions, they gave you stash tabs. So if you bought the expansion and you bought the special one, then they gave you more stash tabs. Then eventually what happened is, everybody said this too, everybody said, great, cool, we got a few more stash tabs. We still need more stash tabs. Why can't we just have like 50 or something? And they said, well, we can't do that because it would have server lag, right? Even though that game was not an online, like an MMO style AARPG, because there was, you could play 4 players, that's it. Play by yourself, online, of course. So they started giving you one extra stash tab as a reward at the end of a season if you completed the journey, right? So that's not a big load on the servers because not everybody's going to achieve that. Lots of people are leaving the game, so there's way less population, so they were able to do it. That's how they were able to do it. But they still maxed it out at, I think, 4 layers, 4 tiers of 5, right, or something like that? So 5, 10, 15, it's like 20. I think it's that you can have 20 stash tabs in D3. I forget now, even though I play the game like every day still. So this was all known from D3 2012 when they had very little stash tabs, all the way to 2023 today, where we've maxed out stash tabs, most likely, and they still give one out every season. But now it's Diablo 4, and guess what, guys? Groundhog Day, history repeating itself. We once again, we can't give you all these stash tabs right away because there would be performance issues. Same thing with Diablo 3. Other companies, they don't have that problem. So they learn nothing.
Concern. So while this response will factually make me less annoyed because now I know what's going on, have some more empathy for the devs, and give them more time.
No, it should make you annoyed. You should be annoyed. You should be even more annoyed because they had the same problem in Diablo 3. Did you guys miss Diablo 3? I'm sorry. I fucking love the game now. It's simple and whatever. Dude, the last season of Diablo 3 with the skill tree is amazing. The altar, go play it. If you didn't play it, you don't know what you're talking about. It's at least really fun for 2 to 3 weeks. It's super fun to me. I'm playing it still. But here's the thing. This has been known for years. And everyone's coming out like, oh, guys, they explained it. This makes sense now. You don't, if they just added stash tab, there's performance issues. Okay, fine. But why didn't you know that? Because we've already dealt with that in Diablo 3 for how many years? So someone didn't say, well, if we do that, there's going to be performance issues. No one said, guys, let's not make the mistake of what happened in Diablo 3, where people couldn't store their items. We're going to need more stash tabs because in Diablo 3 at launch, they had as many stash tabs, but there was way less items to pick up. Now in Diablo 4, there's more items to actually hold on to, including gems and other things. We had that problem in Diablo 3. We're definitely going to have that problem in Diablo 4. Oh, yeah, and adding stash tabs could mess up server performance. Wow, we better solve that problem. I guess not. I guess not. So it's even worse than what you're saying, than what DM Diablo here is saying. This guy's great, by the way. But it's even worse than what he's saying. And because if you didn't play Diablo 3 for long, you only played Diablo 3 from 2012 to 2015 or something, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, Diablo 3 is so different right now than it was at the beginning. But the bottom line is, if you lived through Diablo 3 from 2012 to right now, all the problems of that game are in this game. It's so weird. Like, yeah, they have fixed quite a few things, and they've done a lot of things differently. And this game has a bit of a fight, right, with itself. This game has three different sort of mindsets going on in its brain, it feels like. Feels like Diablo 4 doesn't know if it wants to try to be Diablo 2 again, if it wants to be Diablo 3, or if it wants to kind of be an MMO. It's got those evil Jekyll and Hyde and other personalities lurking in the background of it. So there's a bit of a push or a pull and push and weird tug of war going on with all the personalities, where it's like the game is ready to go more MMO, to go Diablo 2, to go Diablo 3. At any moment, the game could just, boom, we're going, all right, Diablo 3, shit just drops everywhere. Or at any moment, they could be like, all right, MMO stuff and raids are coming and stuff. Like, we're going to do all this stuff. Or at any moment, shut down all the MMO stuff. It's ruining everything. Just go back to Diablo the way we know it. You know what? Let's do Diablo 2. That's what you wanted, right? That's why I made it darker. So it's like, it's any minute they're ready to be cracked out and just go crazy. But it's all depending not on the audience and the players, like the casual ones. I feel like the devs' plan was to wait and see what the fans who stick around and play the game, what they end up wanting. Okay, let's go that way. And what I'm noticing about this game is that there's actually quite a bit of a craving for a lot of Diablo 3 things, but to be done better. So what I mean is like let's just start with goblins, for instance. Goblins in Diablo 3 are for the most part pretty awesome, I think. They're pretty good. There's a bunch of variety. They do a bunch of things. The way they alert you, they're fairly easy to kill. Sometimes there's goblin parties. Those are fun. Sometimes you get a conduit and blow them all up, and that's super fun. Sometimes you get a gelatinous, and then it spawns all the other goblins. It's so much fun. Goblins are fun. They're stupid. It's a stupid thing, but it's something stupidly fun that, because Diablo 3 was so limited for so long, was actually one of the funner things about the game. And they took it too seriously and thought, oh, the first season's double goblins. You'll love that. That was stupid. But overall, Diablo 3 gets goblins right. Diablo 4, not really. They're there, and it's pretty good, but it's not as good as Diablo 3's goblins. But they do a lot of other things better in the game. Diablo 4 has started way ahead of Diablo 3. Like, where Diablo 3 was, where Diablo 4 is right now, it took Diablo 3 about, 2 years to get to this point. So what we do know about Diablo 4 is the game is ahead of Diablo 3 of where it was at this time. But the goal is to get us to better than Diablo 3 now as soon as possible, right? Like, we want Diablo 4 to be better than current Diablo 3 as soon as possible. I don't think they're there yet, but what has helped them is the new car smell, right? It's a different game, something different to do. I liken leveling in Diablo 4 from 1 to 100 almost like in Diablo 3 doing a greater rift 1 to eventually a 150. So a lot of people will make it to 100 and then they'll be like, all right, I'm done. A lot of people will make it to level 75 in Diablo 4 and say, all right, I can't get any higher and I've had enough. I'm grinding and I'm just getting bored now. That's fine. People do that. So anyway, back to the main point of stash tabs, I suppose, but
to fix the problem, which I'm sure is the response they are hoping for when they come out with a statement like this, I still feel exactly the same way that I did prior to the statement, which is it is still an issue in the game. We still need more stash tabs as soon as possible, and it is not my problem whether or not there is a coding side of that. It will give me more patience to fix the coding problem, but now I know the reason. That doesn't fix it doesn't fix what the actual problem is. It just gives me a reason as to why the problem exists. So for
Yeah, and we already knew that reason though, right? Because I've been saying this since day one. I said, oh my God, they're limiting stash tabs again. Oh, must be server performance. We can't just give you a bunch of stash tabs. So I sympathize with everybody who doesn't know about this problem. This has gone on with Blizzard for like 12 years now. The other problem is the game doesn't know if it wants to go MMO or not. Like, for instance, oh boy, what was the big thing that I wanted to talk about? Oh, stash space, right? So stash space is stopping me from wanting to create multiple characters and different characters because I just don't want to do it on time. But changing your build is also something. When they added that to Diablo 3, I love it. I loved it. I got to experiment with other classes and play around. And certainly it wasn't experimenting like in Diablo 2 because all the classes are kind of made already. You just got to find the stuff and put it together, and there you go. Whereas in Diablo 2, there's a little bit of theory crafting going on, and that's what makes that fun. But in Diablo 3, changing builds and changing characters was fun. You can't do that in Diablo 4. You have to make a new character, or you have to disarm your entire self and reset all your Paragon point. It's just crazy. But did Blizzard might want it that way. They might want you to have to spend tons of gold and things to re-roll or to change your character out because they don't want you to do that. They want it to be like Diablo 2, where, okay, you want to play a different style, you need to create a new character and start back again. But a lot of people don't want to do that. It's kind of like seasons in before ladders in Diablo 2. It's like, yeah, I don't want to create a whole new character to build a Twisting Blades rogue. I just want to switch and start building a Twisting Blades rogue or switch to my Twisting Blades rogue. Well, now Diablo, the developers, they don't know what to do because they sort of designed the game with the idea of we're going back to Diablo 2 on some of this stuff. And part of that is the excitement of having to craft your build and stuff like that. And now you've made it. But then in the end, the result is the same. You go to the main screen and you go, okay, I want to click on my Twisting Blades rogue. Okay, I'm going to click on my ranged rogue. It's the same thing. You end up switching up between rogues, but you put more time into building it. So the only difference in the end is the time you put into crafting, creating that new character, as opposed to if you were just able to click on a button and disarm yourself and then rearm yourself and then click a button, save. Okay, I built my Twisting Blades rogue. It took 20 minutes. I built it. As opposed to, having to work a whole day to level up another character and build them that way. So what they're saying is they want it to take long. They want you to go through that experience. But a lot of people are saying they don't want that. People saying they don't want that must be fans of World of Warcraft or Diablo 3. Right? And even though I'm a Diablo 3 fan, I'm on the fence about this because I'll go either way. If you want to make it hard to make a new build, so you have to put way more thought and care into what you're doing, and you have to literally create probably a new character to create a new build, if that's what you really want and you tell me that's your goal, I'll have to decide if I don't like it or not, and then I'll just have to adhere to it, and I'll know that that's what's going on. But if you tell me that, oh yeah, we're going to add the tabs so you can just throw stuff on the character and click the button, hey, I'm game with that too because that's what I did. Although it was a different, at first I didn't like it in Diablo 3 because I was like, this isn't like Diablo 2. What is this? I now love it in Diablo 3. It makes sense. But does it make sense for Diablo 4? I don't know. But it seems like they don't know either because they're not sure if they obviously initially wanted that to be hard and wanted it to be more like Diablo 2. But now with the feedback and some of their comments, it sounds like they may break from that. So they had it wrong, essentially, from what they guessed wrong. And many of the complaints I'm seeing out there, some of them, rather, tend to be the developers thought that people wanted more Diablo 2-like stuff. So they tried to do that. but they didn't do it right or as good as Diablo 2. And then on top of that, people are not only complaining about it, but they're showing that they don't even want it, which I think is leaving the developers scratching their heads like, damn, what? All people did was bitch about Diablo 3. And now we're trying to do these Diablo 2 things and people are bitching? And then when you ask those people about that, they don't even know that Diablo 3 did this stuff. So, dude, do you guys like Diablo 3 and you don't realize it? Because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that skip Diablo 3 because of the first year or two, or they just heard it was bad, and they don't realize that they would love Diablo 3. Because so many of these people are complaining about stuff and wanting stuff that's in Diablo 3, not Diablo 2. There still is a vocal majority of Diablo 2 players who would rather go back to Diablo 2 days. But then there's Path of Exile that's out here in Psycho World. Just can't play it. It's too insane. It looks fun. That looks good. It kind of looks like, Diablo 3 and 2 on steroids. But I just can never bring myself to do it. It's too much. But I want to play it, but it's too much. So you got PoE out on Psycho World. You got Diablo 4 that kind of doesn't know what it is 100%, it feels like. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Stash tabs, yeah. So we're in the same problem we were in 2012. That's great. I could have just made a video like that. Hey, stash tabs, we don't have enough. It sucks. It's miserable. Feels terrible. Oh, they're going to give us one every once in a while and dangle a carrot because they can't afford to lag the servers. Because they didn't learn anything from the last 11 years. There, summed up the video for you. Probably just fast forward to this point. This is Evil Spectrum 3, also Joe Cronin on the Joe Cronin Show on YouTube and so many other channels that I have. But right here is where you'll find my gaming content. I hope you subscribe. And, yeah, leave comments down below. I want to hear the feedback.